So my name is Vivian Wu, and I am heading the MDM. You're at AbbVie's commercial MDM on the business side.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Okay. Ram Gamachi from IT. Again, Vivian and I go a really, really long way back, right? When we started the MDM journey on the LTO platform. So I'm also part of the US commercial organization doing MDM and a lot of other integrations.
So maybe it would also good to, I mean, there's a wide variety of people here. It would do some good to talk about AbbVie and just introduce the company to the room.
So AbbVie is a global research-based biopharmaceutical company and formed in 2013 after separating from Abbott. So many people probably never heard our name because we're only in existence for 10 years, but we used to be part of Abbott. And 10 years ago, we become an independent company and then focusing on the biopharmaceutical. And we have a diverse product portfolio, including a lot of several market-leading medicine. Humira is used to be the largest product in the pharmaceutical product in the world, and we have 50,000 employees worldwide. And we have a history. We have 125 years history combining the Abbott and AbbVie. And we were ranked #1 in the 30 most meaningful companies to work in America. And just before I joined the session, I Googled, and we're just second largest biopharma company next to Pfizer.
That's really amazing. You said about a very deliberate program. When you picked Reltio, we went in with a mindset of really modernizing your MDM stack and so data landscape overall. Can you tell us a little bit more about the triggers and what you were sort of that early days of that journey?
So the early days, we had multiple platforms managing the MDM, and one platform is kind of a custom build, not even an MDM. It's basically do the cross-reference of different data sources, no golden records, you can't edit anything. So we had a lot of issues with the legacy one, and its usability is definitely #1 on my agenda. It's just very difficult for users. And we're the business user, we do data stewardship. It's very difficult to do, especially a merge. It's almost impossible. It took an hour to do just one record. And the performance is very low. It's slow. Data moves slowly, and the latency of data is constant complaint from our users. And we have, like I said, we have different domain. The data's on different domain. And we have numerous offline processes to manage data. And the data is scattered all different systems. People can load any data in any system. It's kind of a no governance, nothing. And our users don't trust us, don't trust the data because there's no transparency. All they give is just a file. And at the time, we didn't have any system to manage the affiliations.
And how do you go about that process? Because was it did you start with an RFP? Did you start with sort of an internal conversation? Like those mechanics are of a lot of interest people who are looking at these platforms.
Yeah. So I think throughout the conference, everybody's kind of struggle with getting the investment for the funding. MDM is very difficult to articulate. What's the ROI? Immediately you can see, right? So we had the opportunity at the time where the president of our commercial organization wanted to do affiliation management. Just like, today's AI, when the president said, we need to do something about AI, and everybody tried to do something, go into the action. So I knew our system. I knew what's going to work, what's not going to work. Given all the downside of our existing platform, I know that the existing platform will not serve the purpose. And affiliation is much more complex than just the HCP, HCO entity, and the performance, visualization. I knew that it's not going to work. So I start to go out and look for a different platform. And somebody at the time, it's talking about the right time, and somebody introduced me the Reltio, and then And they came in, Manish, Raman came in, and Kurt, right? They came in to do the prototype, and really liked it, because what a genius idea to have search just like a Google. But at the time, all the enterprise software search is so difficult. We have lots of data, but we couldn't find it because it's very rigid search. So they came in with a Google type search and demonstrate how the relationship can work, the affiliation look like. It's really exciting to see the platform, like in front of our eyes. Yeah.
Then, if I may add, right, for a company like Abbott and AbbVie, going to a cloud for something that we really see it very dearly, like HCP information, the hospitals and things like that, it was unheard of, right? Really? Are you going to put it outside of the premises on the cloud? So that was kind of a really key paradigm shift. And then the second thing was, I think we heard it from the previous speakers this morning, and thanks to Vivian too, with the partnership. We started with the first, like a baby step to say, we like the platform, let's do the affiliations and the Reltia platform, let's look at the value add, let's see what we really get out of it. And then we will go to our big hitters, right, like the HCPs and the HCOs, right? So I think that was a good, smart move. I know we had a kind of a rough patch with the HCP, but again, taking the first baby step, I think, was a good thing for us to go talk to our leadership and say, there is promise in this, right? There is value in this, and definitely give us the investment dollars. So again, thanks to our partnership and then, the organization and the buy-in from the leadership, right? We are where we are today.
That's fantastic. So some folks may not be from the life sciences or healthcare industry, may not fully understand what affiliation or HCP, HCO mean. Do you mind explaining that?
Yes. Yeah, so affiliation really is the relationship between the healthcare providers and the healthcare organizations. And it's really complex in today's healthcare environment. And I don't think at the time anybody has done that yet. It's a many-to-many relationship, and how to keep going in the production environment, with the data, the speed come to us and keep it updated. It's really a challenge. And I will say that I actually experienced several times that, the operation fail to keep up with the data change, because when you customize so much, you cannot take in the vendor data anymore. So it's a struggle whether you wanted to just take the vendor data or you just use your own custom build relationships. And so I want both. I want vendor data, but I also want the augmentation from our field intelligence.
So you made the decision again. We are very thankful that you moved forward with us. But you also made a decision early on not to take a big bang approach, and we've heard big bang a few times in the last couple of days. And I always find it very amazing to hear about the approach that you took initially and how you've scaled over the years. And I think your iterative approach really plays into that. Could you help the room sort of understand how you went about that and how it came about, really, right? Because you must have had that discussion. How big do we go initially, right?
Yeah, I think from a technology standpoint, again, nothing against Informatica, right? I'm pretty sure some of you may be on the Informatica, right? We always used to get feedback from Vivian's team. I can't do when you're loading data, so you're pretty much shutting me off, right? I'm off commission, right? What kind of a platform is that, right? So we wanted a platform that can scale, that really doesn't stop our data stewards to kind of do what they need to do. And of course, we really wanted to lay the foundation, right? From having a cross-reference, which was not true MDM, to having a true MDM that can scale and can do a whole lot of things. Right? I don't have to talk about LTO, right? What all it does. So we felt that was the right thing to do. And then we started with our healthcare professionals. If you really see that was an existing capability, and then we embarked on doing it. We wanted to demonstrate we can do it, right? And then show the value to the organization. So that was the first thing we tackled. And again, to be very transparent, it's not like we had a smooth ride. We had a real roller coaster ride, and I know we used to call Manish at that time. He used to take calls. He had a flat tire once. He was on the shoulder. He still took the call, right? So we had our rough patches, but I think having a good SI partnership and a partnership with the LTO, and of course a lot of patience from Vivian's organization and our leadership, I think we kind of demonstrated we can do that. And now, since then, we've been pretty much on a roll, one domain after the other, right? So it's been pretty gratifying and really satisfying from my vantage point, right?
So, so it's kind of a risk mitigation. Consider where Reltio was at the time. Basically, they had no client, and for us, we also need to consider, we are carrying the big company, right? We don't want it to disrupt all the business that already running on the legacy system, and so we can use the affiliation management as a kind of test water to prove the concept, to see that the Reltio can actually work as an MDM platform. So so that's how we progress, and then when we actually launch the affiliation management in production, then we know that Reltio is a viable platform. And from that point on, we start to migrate all the legacy system to the cloud.
And you've taken a very deliberate approach, right? I think we listed a timeline up there, but it's like every year you've had a very specific roadmap and methodically sort of moving and sort of centralizing your source of truth.
Right. And what you don't see in the slide is right in the middle, we had a big acquisition with Allergan, right? So, Vivian and I, we can't thank enough, right? We were so glad we embarked on this journey of Reltio, and then when that acquisition happened, I think we were ready, right? We were able to give so much synergies, back to our business and our leadership, and then we were able to seamlessly integrate, and I think it's all thanks to kind of having a very robust MDM platform. And then, of course, everything around it was with the platform itself, right?
So Ramu would always remind me, if we didn't have this infrastructure put in place, we wouldn't be able to do the integration with Allergan as smooth as we did. And remember, we did this integration during pandemic. Basically, nobody was in the office. We all did it remotely and successfully integrate the company the size of old AbbVie, right? So we double the size, basically.
That's fascinating, and it has to be more than the MDM system, right? You have standards, you have governance, you have other pieces that make up your data trust program, and all of that together enable you to get that success, I would imagine. Would you talk about that?
Yes, at least I can definitely talk it from an IT standpoint, right? So we had at least a good roadmap in terms of how we really want to build the ecosystem around MDM, right? And then in a life sciences company, you have a CRM, like the customer relationship management. And of course, you have data warehouses, data lakes, and whatnot, right? So when we embarked on this journey, we wanted to decouple MDM. So we created a consumption hub, right? Like integration hub. That is basically from where everything else, that's where the tentacles start spreading. Right? From the integration hub, we talk to CRMs, we talk to our data warehouses, we talk to our snowflakes of the world, and the CDLs of the world. So we kind of had that foundation, and of course MDM is the core centerpiece of that. So when these acquisitions happened, we were ready in the sense, get the data in, right? I really don't have to kind of shake everything on the MDM side, tweak my integration hub, right? Kind of repipe and redo some plumbing, and we are up and running, right? So we kept it very simple, nothing fancy, right? The old school technology, like TIPCO for the real-time interface, and then of course, though I said I don't like Informatica, we still use Informatica IICS, for integration. So it's a very simple kind of architecture that is easy to support and easy to kind of manage.
Simplicity is definitely key. I do want to get to the heart of the matter, which is business alignment, right? And it would be great if you could spend some time on kind of your approach to that, and it's a continuing approach, right? It's not a one-time thing.
So talking about the MDM, it's always talking about three things: the people, the technology, and the process, right? So I do think the support at the time we get from the management was great, because they may not know everything about MDM, but they kind of put the trust on us, and so allow us to take the risk, and then they, they also take risks with us, with their career as well. And there are some key decisions that really make a difference. For example, so when we first, so the MDM is nothing if the downstream doesn't consume, right? But if we want a downstream to consume, sometimes you will force them to change. And some people just don't want to change. And that, for example, the ID, I don't want to change any ID. That actually requires a lot of work on our side to make it retrofit the old ID. So a lot of work. And so that's where the management make a huge difference. And basically come in and said, yep, you're going to change the ID. It's just the ID conversion. You need to do that. That saves us a lot of customization. So I think that, the support from management is important. And so about, the alignment with business. So I have been working with Ramo for last 9 years. And so we have you can see the roadmap, we have so many projects working together. And one of the things we learned is that there's your department and my department, we physically located in the same conference room for the duration of the entire project. And we become known each other so well. And we're colleagues, we are also friends. And so we make collaborative decisions. We don't have, he doesn't make decisions without me, I don't make decisions without him. So it's really a collaborative effort. And before the project starts, we have a road show. We basically tell all the stakeholders, this is what we're going to do, and you will see this impact. And before the project launch, we did another road show, multiple sessions. And because MDM is so widely used, the data is used by entire US commercial, we did multiple sessions of road show. We talk about the impact on the business side, on the system side. And so just try to over-communicate rather than under-communicate. And also I will give, I think Ramo did play a critical role when we met the platform challenge. He can think out of the box, find a solution. So I would always think that he's my enabler. I have an idea, but he cannot enable me. It's just still like something on the paper. It won't be realized.
No, I think it's the same goes with, right? It's not like mutual admiration, but that's reality, right? It's a two-way street, right? We really need a strong collaboration and partnership, right? Obviously between Vivian's team and my team. But also to your question, Hans, right? It is the organization, right? Are they really buying into this whole concept of MDM? The answer is absolutely yes. We've never run this as a IT initiative or something that Vivian and I like, and then we want to do it, right? I think our leadership strongly felt the need for it, and over the years they've seen the value for MDM, right? So they are definitely bought into the concept. Platform is only one enablement, right? But at the end of the day, right, they really, without that buy-in and getting some of the funding, I'm pretty sure a lot of folks know, all these projects really take massive amount of investment. Yeah. Because you shake one thing here, pretty much, the whole deck of cards will potentially shake, right? Yep. The intent is they don't fall, they still stay in place, right? So that's the mantra. So I think it is definitely, as an organization, we are blessed to have that, I would say, buy-in from the leadership.
Yeah, that's fantastic to hear. What were the key sort of success factors, right? I mean, you looked at it or you constantly look at this from a people, process, technology point of view. Could you walk us through some of those success factors?
I think one of the key success factors is, right, I'm pretty sure some of you saw the other slide, right, by Warner Brothers, right? MDM is only one small piece of the puzzle, right? If you don't know your consumers and how they will be using the data, right, then you haven't really done much. It will be definitely a failure, right? So don't lose of the fact that MDM is there for a reason, and the consumers have a very, very critical role to play in that, right? And everything else that comes around that, right? Stewardship, governance, and everything, that's very important, including data quality, but for any successful MDM implementation, keep sight of the fact who your consumers are, and make sure they really are buying into your implementation and program. Otherwise, it's going to be really, really tough to be successful.
Yeah. So I think when you start MDM, you have to think through, what do you want the MDM to be? So from very early on, we decided, MDM will be the hub. When you log in, you always show the best data. But there are other philosophy. You want to see all the data, the history. So it's not good or bad. It's just what do you want to do, right? So from early on, we basically say anybody look at MDM, that's the best data you will have at that moment. So that has been our philosophy. And because this is philosophy, we have to understand the data's life cycle, and we constantly actually clean up data. It's loading data is very easy. Everybody can do that. To figure out what's obsolete and clean up, it's actually very challenging. And so we create different business rules, how we clean up data. In the life science industry, we all know that the biggest challenge is the HCP's address, because it's related to incentives. If you get this wrong, people will be very angry at us. And so, so we create all these data governance rule to govern our data. So how does the governance form, right? It's not coming out of nowhere. It's not coming out of just concept. It's our understanding of our downstream users, especially our main stakeholders, how they use the data. So sitting in the center of the data, we know all our stakeholders, how they use our data, and form the data governance rules. We, as you know, that life science is a highly regulated industry. So we need to be compliant. And so we did all this compliance rule in the MDM. So if you will, the compliance is really a stick for people to use the MDM data, because we apply all the business rule, all the compliance rule, and make sure that our representatives are in compliance. And the company, safeguard our company.
And one thing I do want to add about the success factors, it goes without saying, people are a very, very key ingredient to that, right? The team that you have. I'm fortunate to have a very seasoned team, right, who know the data. And definitely I can say the same thing to Vivian's team, right? They really know the data. If you don't have the right people, it gets very, very challenging to go embark on a MDM journey, right? And then you may have to rely on the SI. Not that the SIs will not give you good advice, I'm not saying that. But again, having that kind of a talent pool within the organization is very, very important for a big MDM journey if anyone is contemplating to embark on that journey.
I do want to spend a couple of minutes on lessons learned, right? As you alluded to, some technology bumps along the way early on. But what was sort of the other things that you learned along the way that you'd want to share with the room?
I think addresses were a very sore thing for us. Again, we are talking 2016, 2017, right? Sure. I'm pretty sure as a platform, Reltio has come a long way. But I think the lessons learned is, right, you have to be very, very quick in the way you think, right? Because once you embark on the journey and then your train has left the station, right, you have to be very quick in coming up with some innovative solutions. Because no matter how good of a partnership you have with the vendor, sometimes the vendor itself may be constrained with what they can do in the short amount of time. So I think we had to do something innovative when it came to the addresses. And then, of course, we had to take some conscious decisions to say, how quickly we can get the data for our consumers, right? Again, keep an eye on that. Everyone says, I need it real time. I'm like, when you start asking the questions, no, they really don't need it real time. Once a day is more than enough for them. So I think don't over-solution and over-architect because someone says, I want it right then and there. The chances are at least in our life sciences. Very unlikely they really need it right there and there. Right?
So one of the reason of, choosing Reltio is because of visualization, right, the friendly UI. And so after we launched Reltio and, data steward can see data, visually, and because you see it, it's so easy to search and, finding data. A lot of business rule coming out of by looking at the data every day. And business rules along with that. And so one of the things I think Pfizer colleague also said about, when you launch, how many million records in the queue, and we experienced the same, 400,000 when we launched in the match queue. So is it a good thing to do? I think so, because you want to start with a conservative approach. When you merge all the records that are not supposed to merge, then you actually ruin the quality and you lose the credibility. So I'd rather to start slow and, and observe the data, and then, we can enhance the match rule. And nowadays, we don't even have that match queue. Like, it's a couple thousand, probably the max every day, yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you, both of you, for sharing. We have a couple of minutes for questions, so we'll open it up. Could we get a mic there, please?
I don't think it's working. Hello. Okay, I think it's kind of working. Ramu, as a precursor to this journey, did you try to build like an integration hub to beginning to learn how to dedupe and, get some knowledge before you moved into Reltio? Like, is there like a lesson learned, like, oh, do this as a run-up, so when you do have your MDM, you kind of have this base knowledge? Like, looking back, would you recommend that kind of approach?
I think our whole approach was, I don't want my consumers to start going and hitting Reltio through the APIs and not knowing what's happening, right? Because there's an element of cost involved with the APIs, but more importantly, right, we want to have a centralized location, the way I call it the integration hub, from where all integrations manifest, right? So it was not necessarily used to dedupe and whatnot, because we leverage the capabilities that the platform itself has, right? The kind of dedupe and do things like that. But our integration hub was truly meant for integration across our broader ecosystem.